Imagine standing in front of, like, a world-class symphony orchestra.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right. But you don't have a baton. And you don't even have sheet music. All you have is a vintage typewriter.
A typewriter. Wow.
Yeah. And you have to somehow translate the exact feeling of, say, a devastating heartbreak or maybe a victorious blood-pumping battle entirely into text.
That sounds, I mean, that sounds impossible.
Right. You are typing out words, just hoping those musicians play exactly what is echoing in your soul.
Oh, it sounds like the ultimate game of telephone, like taking raw, messy, abstract human emotion, reducing it to rigid textual commands, and just expecting an acoustic masterpiece to emerge on the other side. So much nuance should theoretically get lost in the wires, you know?
It really should. But what if the orchestra actually understood you perfectly? What if they could read that text and play your exact emotional state back to you?
Which is wild to even think about.
It is. And today, we are stepping right into that wild reality.
Bruh.
Welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at the master source document for the Hellcat's King of the Hill AI Music Community Competition.
Yes, we are. And specifically, we're focusing on the heavy metal and trip-hop masterclass today.
Exactly. We have the top 3 winning tracks right here, and we're going to break them all down for you.
Yeah, and, you know, the significance of what we're looking at today really cannot be overstated. Before we get into the music itself, we have to frame the mechanics of this for you.
Yeah, let's clear that up.
Because there's this massive misconception out there that creating AI music is just pushing a button and having a song magically appear.
Oh, totally. The make song button.
Right, which doesn't exist. What you are going to hear about today are human creators who used incredibly specific technical and emotional style prompts to sculpt these atmospheric, psychedelic, and highly creative soundscapes.
It almost feels like these prompt writers are acting as movie directors.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Like, a good director doesn't just walk on set and say, make the scene sad. They feed exact lighting cues, camera angles, lenses, emotional subtext to their crew. And it seems like these creators are doing the exact same thing with the AI, demanding specific beats per minute, instrumentation, vocal textures, all to encapsulate their own human stories.
That analogy holds up perfectly when you look at how large audio models actually process data. The AI isn't just slapping a generic guitar riff onto some lyrics.
Right.
It's been trained on vast libraries of human music, meaning it understands the acoustic properties of emotional subtext.
It knows what sad sounds like on a technical level.
Exactly. So when a creator prompts for a specific vocal texture combined with a specific tempo, the AI is calculating the sonic frequencies of those requests and layering them to match the director's vision.
Which is just incredible. So to really do justice to these masterclasses in prompt engineering, we are going to do a countdown. We're going to walk through the evolution of how these 3 creators processed profound emotional pain, starting with our bronze medalist, moving to silver, and dedicating the bulk of our time to the undisputed King of the Hill at number 1.
I can't wait. Let's start with that bronze medalist.
Yeah, so this track scored a 70.8 out of 100. It's called Captain Black Jonas, and it was created by Black Bullet.
A fantastic track.
Really is. And if we're talking about emotional processing, this track is just a masterclass in projecting pain outward as sheer violence.
Oh, absolutely. The sheer specificity Black Bullet used to get this aggressive sound is fascinating. The style prompts asked for heavy, distorted, down-tuned metal guitars combined with a dark pirate rap that has a relentless mid-tempo swing.
Such a specific vibe. Pirate rap.
Right. And they specifically requested a hard kick snare snap, rolling toms, and ominous minor key strings. And I want to point out, when you down-tune a metal guitar, you are literally loosening the strings so they play lower, thicker notes.
It just sounds so heavy.
It makes the sound physically heavier, yeah. It vibrates in your chest rather than just in your ears.
And the narrative behind those heavy vibrating sounds is just brutal. Like, the story follows a noble, respected sailor named Jonas. He's described as a guy with pride in his jawline, command in his spine.
A good guy.
Exactly. But then his wife is taken by the ocean. She drowns. And the grief is so absolute, so consuming, that to survive it, he essentially murders his own humanity to transform into this ruthless pirate, Captain Black.
That transformation is where the production cues act like a literal movie script.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, the creator didn't just ask for loud metal the whole time. They asked for the pre-chorus to suddenly narrow down to a bare drum pulse and shadowy chant doubles. They called for stacked whispers on key lines and short delay throws on the last word of each hook.
All wrapped in this cold and cinematic mix with gritty low end.
You know, the way Black Bullet handles grief here, It feels like a psychological amputation.
Oh, that's a visceral image.
Right. It's like a psychological amputation. And the prompt mechanics act as the scalpel. By suddenly dropping those massive metal guitars and narrowing the sound to just that bare drum pulse, the AI literally strips away the musical flesh, leaving just the bone.
Leaving just the bone. I love that.
It's like he cut off the healthy part of himself, Jonas, just to survive the infection of his grief, right?
That is exactly it. He is severing the vulnerable tissue of his soul so the rot of sorrow cannot spread. And let's break down what a short delay throw actually does mechanically.
Yeah, what is that?
A delay throw is essentially a tight, fast echo effect applied to a single word. By prompting the AI to put a short delay on the last word of the hook, it mechanically makes the vocalist's voice sound like it's bouncing off the cold, wet, wooden walls of an empty ship's hull.
Oh, wow. So it's a spatial thing. Exactly. It instantly creates this physical sense of isolation and madness.
And you can really hear that madness in the lyrics. In the chorus, he declares, "I kept her soul in sight. I burned the boy to hold my wife."
No.
And then the anchor phrase, which is just incredible. "If weakness ever had a skin, I cut it off to live again."
And the prompt specifically called for gang shouts on the anchor phrase and a low brass stab. So you have this huge, unified, aggressive sound declaring the death of his own empathy.
It hits so hard.
It does. The AI understands dynamic contrast beautifully here. The creator asked for a close mic rasped lid. The AI knows that close mic means the vocalist sounds like they're an inch away from your ear, providing this intimate, raspy confession of a man who's dead inside,
Right.
which then suddenly explodes into those massive gang shouts.
It creates this terrifying auditory landscape for you as the listener. He says, "I walk with the wreck in my throat, got a crown made of splinters and a curse in my coat." He even admits that he hears the ghost of his former self, saying, "I can hear his boots on the planks of my skull."
Such good writing.
But the outro just hammers his choice home. "Glad the soft hands split apart. Pride I'll never be that weak again. Proud of the darkness I keep within."
It's intense. And if Captain Black was a masterclass in projecting pain outward as violent reinvention, the track that beat it for the silver medal does the exact opposite.
A total 180.
Completely. It takes massive, aggressive musical energy and turns it entirely inward toward quiet, crushing insecurity.
All right, so track number 2. This scored a 72.2 out of 100. It's called The Understudy, created by Mizerie. And the style prompts for this track are massive. We are looking at orchestral metal, post-grunge, groove metal.
Big sounds.
Huge. The creator demanded a driving bass line, cinematic string arrangements, epic orchestral hits, all at a 118 BPM in D minor.
And the juxtaposition Mizerie orchestrated here requires us to look at the math of music for a second.
Okay, let's hear the math.
So 118 BPM, or beats per minute, is roughly the pace of a fast walk or an elevated anxious heart rate. And D minor is traditionally considered one of the most melancholic, sorrowful keys in Western music. So when you combine an anxious driving speed with a deeply sorrowful key, you get friction. But then you add in those epic orchestral hits.
Right.
When you hear a driving bass line and soaring strings, you expect a stage fit for a hero's entrance. You expect a conqueror.
But the lyrics give us a narrator who is completely trapped. They are a subordinate placeholder. The narrator calls themselves a 3 a.m. confession booth.
Exactly.
Which is so sad. When you listen to this, you expect a conqueror. The sweeping strings make you want to stand up and cheer. But then the lyrics hit you and you realize this person is just the person you call when your first choice falls through. They sing, "I'm your second string savior, your go-to guy," when your first choice left you high and dry.
The sheer size of that 118 BPM groove metal makes the lyrical resignation feel incredibly tragic. The creator specifically prompted for powerful male baritone vocals with raw emotional delivery and gritty textures, but they added a vital emotional cue. They asked for it to be resigned.
Okay, I have to push back a little on how the technology achieves this.
Sure, go for it.
How does an AI balance the demand for epic orchestral metal with an emotional cue of resigned? I mean, it's like being fitted for a spectacular superhero cape, but you're only ever asked to sweep the floors of the headquarters? Mechanically, how does a computer understand that contradiction?
That is where the training data of large audio models really shines. Audio models know that resigned often correlates with a slight drop in vocal pitch at the tail end of a phrase. Or maybe a breathier, exhausted vocal texture where the singer isn't belting at full lung capacity.
Ah, okay, so it's not just the volume, it's the breathiness.
Exactly. By feeding the AI epic groove metal combined with resigned vocals, the AI layers that exhausted, breathy vocal texture right over the massive driving bass line.
That makes total sense.
To the outside world, this person is just a convenient backup plan. But internally, the pain of being overlooked feels like an apocalypse. The massive orchestration validates the depth of their quiet agony.
The music is literally the size of their unrequited devotion. You look at the chorus, I'm always the backup, never the plan, just the understudy for a leading man, always the harbor, never the sea, the one you run to, but never for me.
And the prompt called for dynamic contrast here, too. You have pounding drums and heavy, down-tuned 7-string guitar riffs, but then the AI drops the floor out for these intensely vulnerable admissions. I'm a secret you won't ever keep. Just a shallow grave to bury deep.
A shallow grave to bury deep. It is so deeply fatalistic. The bridge really brings that home. So this is it, the curtain call on a stage where it was built to fall, and then the music swells into this huge post-grunge catharsis, and he belts out his ultimate destiny to be almost everything you'll ever need.
The agony of being necessary but never desired, it's heartbreaking. Ending the track with those quiet outro lines, never the reason, just the excuse, never the anchor, just the abuse. It just leaves you sitting in the rubble of that massive groove metal soundscape.
It really does. So we've gone from projecting pain outward to burying it inward under the weight of an orchestra. Which brings us to the summit.
Here we go, the #1 spot.
If second place was about being trapped in someone else's shadow, our first place track, the undisputed King of the Hill, is about the profound, unimaginable act of letting someone go completely.
This track achieves something incredibly rare in these competitions.
A perfect score.
A legendary perfect score. 100 out of 100. We really need to spend significant time unpacking the mechanics of this one.
Absolutely. The track is called Last Breath Bliss, created by Trippy. And the style prompts are deceptively simple compared to the sprawling metal tracks we just looked at. The creator just asked for trip-hop, boom-bap, and down-tempo.
But the production here is an absolute marvel. Let's define these terms so the brilliance of the pump becomes clear for everyone. Boom bap is an onomatopoeia for a specific drum production style that originated in 1990s East Coast hip-hop.
Boom bap, boom, boom bap.
Exactly. It heavily emphasizes the acoustic kick drum, the boom, and the snare, the bap. Down-tempo means it's played at a relaxed, slow pace. So the creator uses this incredibly laid-back, grounded boom-bap beat to support a highly technical, dense network of internal rhyming. And the persona delivering this is prompted as a magenta-tipped female wordsmith.
Which is such a vivid prompt. And the backstory to this track is devastating. It's a reflection on the agonizing loss of a father, dating back to the brutal winter of 2016. What really strikes me is how this song completely flips the usual script on grief.
How so?
Well, usually songs about loss dwell purely on the sorrow of the aftermath, the empty chair at the table. But Last Breath Bliss does something entirely different. It uses heavy psychedelic imagery to picture the exact moment of his passing, but frames it as a vibrant, beautiful transition.
And using the trip-hop genre here is a stroke of structural genius. Trip-hop has this steady, rhythmic bounce.
Using a trip-hop bounce for a song about death is a fascinating choice. It feels like the steady head-nodding beat acts as a physical anchor.
Yes, exactly.
Like, when someone dies, grief feels like terrifying zero-gravity chaos. The heavy kick drum of the boom bap acts like a literal heartbeat, tethering the artist to the earth so their mind can wander safely into the cosmos to process the trauma.
That is precisely how the mechanics of the track serve the narrative. The beat allows the lyrics to become incredibly ethereal without floating away into pure ambience. The AI grounds the psychedelic elements perfectly. She starts by setting the mundane scene of her own life. Just looking up at the sky today, hoping the landing was soft. I'm a weirdo with a notepad feeling undeniably sad, sipping on some cosmic soup.
And then she focuses in on that specific, terrifying second of his passing. Meditating on the second, when the universe had beckoned and you finally went to rest. I was gripping on the fingers while the quiet moment lingers that had taught me how to stand watching as the fragile hourglass was emptying the final sand.
The imagery is so vivid.
It is. But instead of spiraling into panic, she pivots into this psychedelic hope. She asks him, did the sudden separation feel exactly like a revelation, falling in a peaceful dream, floating down a vibrant, tranquilizing, and illuminating liquid stream?
A vibrant, tranquilizing, and illuminating liquid stream. The vocabulary there completely rejects the clinical, sterile reality of a hospital death and replaces it with a neon-soaked spiritual journey. She is actively commanding her own brain to refuse the panic. The lyrics literally say, "I refuse to picture panic staying peacefully organic, so I banish all the dread. I imagine you were smiling, with the universe beguiling soaring quietly instead."
It is a radical act of love, to forcefully reimagine someone else's death as a peaceful graduation. The chorus delivers a gut punch of pure empathy. She sings, "I just hope the moment that you finally had to leave felt like waking from a slumber on a magic Christmas Eve, deep peace washing over every worry in your mind, leaving all the heavy burdens and the suffering behind."
That specific comparison, waking up on a magic Christmas Eve, is profound. It takes the most adult, complex trauma imaginable, watching a parent die, and uses the lyrics to regress into the purest, most innocent feeling of childhood joy.
Wow, yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that.
She's offering him the comfort he probably offered her when she was young. And then she lands on the ultimate cosmic acceptance of his final journey. She describes his exit to the universe above as being wrapped inside a heavy blanket of a fully finished love.
A fully finished love. I mean, what more could any of us ever hope for? To leave this world wrapped in a fully finished love. It's no wonder this scored a 100 out of 100. It is a masterpiece of human vulnerability.
Truly.
She doesn't pretend she's perfect. She admits she's a clumsy human being who causes chaos every day, but notes that her father treated her like magic. When your breathing was a memory shedding every earthly remedy, a fading vapor in the room, did the atmosphere around you vividly begin to blossom like a giant lotus bloom?
And she doesn't hide the pain of her present reality either. The boom-bap beat keeps her grounded as she makes a vulnerable confession, battling her own depression. She says, "Navigating this reality, fighting with mortality, is so damn fucking hard." But she intentionally pushes her own ego out of the way for him. The selfish crying ego, letting the entire me go, is retreating to the back, focusing upon the beauty, stepping up to do my duty, fighting off the panic attack.
So she's literally using the rhythm of the music to manage her panic attack in real time.
Exactly. It's functional music as much as it is an artistic expression.
So when you look at this entire competition, we've journeyed through an incredible spectrum of the human condition. We started with the violent, externalized grief of Captain Black's down-tuned metal and delay throws. We felt the crushing internal isolation of the Understudy's driving bass line clashing with those massive orchestral hits. And finally, we found this cosmic trip-hop acceptance in the steady heartbeat of Last Breath Bliss.
The technology is merely the vessel, you know. The human soul is still the cargo. The level of craftsmanship we've seen in these prompts, the understanding of tempo, key signatures, and vocal textures, it elevates the medium from simple tech experimentation to genuine, impactful artistry.
These three tracks prove that when human emotion and precise technical vision guide AI, the result isn't artificial in the slightest. It's raw, it's cathartic, and it is deeply, profoundly human. We want to take a moment to sincerely thank the amazing AI music community at Hellcat's King of the Hill for sharing their vulnerability and their technical wizardry with us today.
Yes, thank you all, and we highly encourage you to check the description for the actual track links. Hearing the grit in the metal vocals, the swell of those sorrowful strings, and the grounded heartbeat of that boom-bap beat is something you need to experience firsthand.
It completely changes how you view the entire process.
Which brings us back to where we started, that image of standing before the orchestra with nothing but a typewriter.
Right.
If human creators can now use text prompts to perfectly manifest the sound of their most complex grief or deepest insecurity into a fully realized musical landscape, well, does this technology just reflect our feelings back to us, or does it actually teach us how to finally hear what our own emotions sound like?